Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Monica McDougal. I am one of two student pastors that are working with the folks at United Church of Rogers Park, Irving Park UMC, and Grace UMC of Logan Square. This is a really hard and difficult time for us, as you all know, and in the midst of this unprecedented global health crisis, we have decided to have members of the pastoral team and leaders from all three churches record short, sort of 5 to 10 minute devotionals, talking about kind of whatever, what scriptures are standing out to us, what images are standing out to us, songs, how we're feeling. And so I'm going to be starting us off today by talking about the book of Lamentations. The book of Lamentations is in the Hebrew Bible, and anyone who has talked to me about the Bible knows I love the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew Bible, some of you may refer to as the Old Testament. I have found that studying the Hebrew scriptures is what made me love reading the Bible again, because it was written by folks who were in the midst of great suffering and despair, and they were trying to make sense of it and figure it out, locate God in it. And for me, that's something that feels incredibly relatable right now. So I was reading the Hebrew Bible, and I decided to turn to the book of Lamentations. As its name suggests, it is a book all about lamenting or expressing great sorrow and despair. And immediately I was kind of struck by how familiar it felt, and so I wanted to share part of Lamentations with you. So I will be reading Lamentations chapter 1, verses 1 through 4, and verse 16 from the New Revised Standard Version, or the NRSV. How lonely sits the city that once was full of people. How like a widow she has become. She that was great among the nations, she that was a princess among the provinces, has become a vassal. She weeps bitterly in the night, with tears on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she has no one to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. Judah has gone into exile with suffering and hard servitude. She lives now among the nations and finds no resting place. Her pursuers have all overtaken her in the midst of her distress. The roads to Zion mourn, for no one comes to the festivals. All her gates are desolate. Her priests groan. Her young girls grieve, and her lot is bitter. For these things I weep. My eyes flow with tears. For a comforter is far from me, one to revive my courage. My children are desolate, for the enemy has prevailed. Right now, I'm sure many of you are feeling a wide variety of things. I know this past week or so, I have cycled through so many different emotions: anger, sadness, fear, despair, hope, joy, hopelessness, depression. And sometimes I've felt more than one of those things at one time, which is overwhelming and exhausting. But when I read this passage from Lamentations, it made me realize that although this situation is one that many of us, not all of us, but many of us have never experienced before, these feelings of fear and despair are very familiar to the human experience. And I think that's exhibited by this passage from Lamentations, really the whole Hebrew Bible, the whole book of Lamentations for sure. This isn't the first time our world has dealt with a global pandemic. This isn't even the first time in the last 10, 15 years, as our friends who dealt with the front lines of the Ebola crisis can tell you. This isn't the first time our world has dealt with fear and despair. And the Hebrew Bible was written by people who were grappling with hope we're grappling with hopelessness and despair. We're trying to find God in the midst of the darkness and in the pain. And our ancestors in the faith, the ancient Israelites, that's what they were feeling: hopelessness, fear, despair. And they cried out to God. They lamented to God, and they were angry with God. And I'm sure many of you might feel that way right now. And I think sometimes we try so hard to bury our emotions, to not feel anger, to not feel hopelessness, to always find a positive, to always find the silver lining, or the opposite, to not let ourselves feel joy or hope or happiness because other people have it so much worse. Whatever it is that we tell ourselves, we just try not to feel. But I think for me, I've had to realize that not feeling things isn't going to stop a global pandemic. As much as I wish that it could, as much as I wish that all I had to do was just not feel sad and everything would be better, that's just not how it works. And so not letting myself feel only hurts me, and it hurts the people who care about me. And so I think it's important for us to remember that it's important for us to let ourselves feel, to feel whatever it is that we're feeling right now, to feel all of the wonderful, complicated emotions that come with being made in the image of God, to feel all of those things. And so if you need someone to grieve with, to lament with, to share joy with, I am willing to be that person. My email address will be in the description of this video and in the written transcript. Feel free to reach out to me. I am here to walk through this with you, to cry through this with you, to laugh through this with you, whatever it is that you need. And so is the rest of the pastoral staff. So reach out to us if you need something. We are here to help and to love. You have all been in my prayers, you, your health, your families, your friends. I've been praying for all of you, and I hope that you're well. I love you. Take care. Wash your hands. Follow the guidelines from the CDC and the WHO. And I'll see you soon.